your dreams trying to tell you something? Author M.B. Mosley teaches you how to decode your dreams and take hold of the manifestations that lay in wait for you in the waking realm. Now, broadcasting all over the world, it's the Dream Interpretation Podcast.
Welcome, family. Please be reminded that all dreams are not a one-size-fits-all, and that each dream may be similar, but is contingent upon each individual's waking life. I conduct dream interpretations based upon my waking life as it pertains to my journey here on earth. As for the requests that are emailed to me, I do a general interpretation as I do not know the individual's spiritual and personal waking life. I am so excited. Welcome to Zip Baby Zip. Zip Baby Zip. That's DZIP, the Dream Zone Interpretation Podcast. Share this podcast with your loved ones, guys. I'm so excited to continually teach you all on how to do dream interpretations. I want to hear about it. You can email me at askmemory2019@gmail.com. And we are also dropping new episodes every other Wednesday as we acclimate into this podcast. And the further out we go in the podcast, we're hoping to drop more episodes, and we're hoping to hear from your requests as well. I'm excited for that. So let's get right into it, folks. Drum roll, please. Grab your pens and paper, and 3, 2, 1.
All right, welcome back. Zip, baby, zip. DZIP, hashtag DZIP, Dream Zone Interpretation Podcast. Guys, I am so excited that I am back on here once again. And welcome. If you are new to this podcast, I welcome you with open arms. And just to go over what we do here, this is the Dream Zone Interpretation Podcast, where I share my passion, I should say, for dream interpretations. I believe that we get warnings and or instructions and messages from our spiritual dream world, and that typically, I believe, come before they manifest themselves in our waking state. So I like to teach people to be able to decode their dreams only. And the reason why I like to teach people how to decode their dreams is because dreaming and being in the spiritual dream zone, I should say, is not a one-size-fits-all approach. However, I do believe that life is a spiritual journey that is very much experienced in the spiritual world and spiritual realm. And if we can tap into the instructions, messages, and warnings, we can also live in abundance and in fulfillment within our waking lives. However, that's why I like to teach how to decode, so that you are able to decode your own dreams. All right, and let's get into it. Today, a podcast or so ago, I talked about a snake bite. Today I'm going to talk about big snakes. If you don't like snakes or you're starting to get goosebumps, then this is a disclaimer for you. And one thing I probably didn't make in that last podcast or so ago, snake bite, was also the disclaimer. You all, as you've heard from the start of the introduction, I tell you earnestly that decoding the messages from the spiritual dream realm is a process in which you are only able to do for yourself. I'm not saying that other people cannot do it. I'm not saying that vaguely someone cannot give you a base of what you have dreamt of, an interpretation. I'm not saying that's not possible. But why I'm saying that is only because we come from different cultures and backgrounds. And when I did that snake bite one, I don't think I did also emphasize, but you all have heard in my disclaimers, it depends on your spiritual belief, your path, your journey, what you believe in. Okay, I do know that in some cultures, snakes are a symbol of good luck. And I'm able to present this next dream and the interpretation of this dream from, once again, we've already stated that my disclaimer, from my experiences, and also what influences my experiences is my cultural background. Where I am from, we don't like snakes. Just saying. So naturally, a snake in my dream would be something that's less desirable. Now, if you're a person who comes from a culture where snakes are either gods, goddesses, or a symbol of good luck, then that's something that you'd also want to write down, right? Because then this, not this, but let's say if you do dream of a snake, it will be a very different interpretation for you. All right, guys, that was a tidbit there for all students of dream decoding, which falls back to knowing where you are in your waking life as an individual. Let's dive into it. We're going to talk about big snakes, big snakes. This podcast is coming at the heels of the last podcast we did, which was number 7 on premonitions, prophecies, and dreams. And in that podcast, I said after that, I will dive into, now we'll talk about some dreams that have manifested, because I also like to, sorry if I sound like a broken record player, but I do know sometimes people will get sometimes people will get the podcast on the 8th one, on the first one, on the second one. So I just like it to be uniform across the board. All right, so like I said in the last podcast, and I've said before, is also understanding that when we decode these dreams, we are looking in decoding dreams that may have a manifestation period of next week, tomorrow, 2 years from now, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now, 30, perhaps a generation from now. So always take heed to the instructions from the messages from the spiritual realm. So let's talk about this example. All right, big snakes. I don't like snakes. I'm not a fan of snakes. Obviously, when they pop up in my spiritual dream realm, it's not a good thing. And so on this particular dream, that dream was, I was on a freeway. The freeway was flooded, filled. I was the only car on the freeway. It was a nighttime, pitch dark, black. But the snakes were big. I'm talking about probably like anacondas. And they were like black snakes, and they were like slithering, just doing what they do on the highway. And my car was driving atop of these snakes in this dream. It was like a little small car. Couldn't even tell you the model, because you know how dreams are. Like, I was behind the steering wheel. I could see the snakes from the reflection of the car light in front, but, and then now dreams do. Third point of view. You're kind of like outside watching the car drive. Okay, whatever. All right, so in this weird dream, I had like a white top. It was like almost like a lab coat. It was really white. The whiteness of it was like glowing. Almost like glowing, illuminating, I should say. And I was driving on a very familiar highway, only car. I couldn't tell you the color of the car. It was dark. The snakes were black, big. And then the next thing I remember, as dreams do, because sometimes it's not just like straightforward, sometimes. The next thing I know is it's like I pulled up. I don't remember exiting, because I can't even tell you where I exited off of, okay? But I just remember pulling up into a parking lot. It looked like a hotel parking lot. And then the next thing I remember was looking through a window where there was a man and a woman in the window, through the window. And the next thing I remember was I was in the hallway. I'm teleporting like a mug in my dream, okay? Teleporting. No, I'm just kidding. But, of course, dreams could be weird like that. Like, you're literally not getting the baggage out the car and walking, checking in. But next thing I know is I'm at the door. And I didn't knock on the door, but the door was cracked open. And the lady, she opened the door. She had a very soft presence about herself. And then the guy was very calm. And when I walked into this room, I can't even say it was like a hotel room because I don't remember seeing a bed or anything like that. I just remember it being a room. There was probably furniture in there, but I just remember it being a room. It wasn't an empty room, I could tell you that. I remember the carpet, and I remember walking in there. I remember my eyes fixating on this man. The man was an older man, but it's like this glow, this warmth I felt in my heart. It just felt like a safe space almost. Like it just felt cozy, welcoming. The energy was just like a relief, I guess. I don't know. It just was like a good energy that I felt from that dream. And then I woke up. The day that I woke up, I was scheduled to have a conference call. There had been an issue going on with some individuals at this place that I'd been at for about close to 15 years. So a conference call was scheduled. I had seen this lady from the human resources one time in my life only because the way this operation was set up was corporate office was in Ohio. I didn't live in Ohio. I mean, it was all over. So we didn't necessarily have to be like, by the headquarters. There was field people, field agents, or whatever you want to call them, field operatives. Whatever you want to call them. So, but I met this lady one time. I had a couple of conversations with her over the course of the 14 and a half years. Really cordial conversations. Couldn't tell you about her life. It wasn't anything close like that. Just knew that she was the HR manager. The vice president of human resources, I'd met him one time in the 14 and a half years. Really at that time, he seemed like a matter of fact kind of guy. I didn't get any bad vibes from him years ago when I met him. Of course, it was one time again, a one-time introduction actually. So, we had scheduled this conference call that night. Well, it's the next, like the day when I woke up, that's when the conference call was scheduled. But the conference call had been scheduled prior to, like the week before that day. So, in a sense, here's an example of a dream I had and then woke up that morning knowing, no, I'm just kidding, I'm just teasing. But, I jotted it down, like, wrote it down, like, this does not sound good. We are not really, guys, even as much as I've written it down, it's not like, even when you decode dreams sometimes, it wasn't like, I was like, duh, I got it. I'm not going into the conference call. Hello, ambush. No, it wasn't like that. It was just really, because then it's like, literally, the conference was, woke up, conference call was like probably 9 a.m. Eastern. So by the time I got up, got showered, and all this other time and got situated, I'd written it down, but I hadn't really sat down to do my thing. I was caught off guard. So, it was about an issue that had happened. And I'd already, pep talked myself. This is a very peculiar conference that was happening, taking into consideration I was on vacation. But it was addressing an issue to do with integrity. And there was some integrity that had not been met on a certain individual's part. And so I wanted some clarification on that. And so I've been in the leadership role with this company for so many years. I'd already say the 14 and whatever and a half. No issues. This is the first weird conference call set up with the HR department. So I sit there, pick up the call. The call. And hello, I'd already prepped myself. I'm like, I'm going in here open minded, just handle everything professionally, take notes, listen attentively. We're going to get to the bottom of this. It's a business. Don't bring any feelings to the table. We want to get stuff done. Pep talk. Okay. I get on the call, the phone rings. I'm all like, hello, hello, yellow. And the lady had an attitude. The lady, yes. I was like, hello. She was like, hello. I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, okay. You're kind of like taken aback a little bit, but in my mind, I'm like, take the high road. Take the high road no matter what. No matter what. No matter what. And so I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right, so we waiting for so and so and so, which is a VP of HR. Oh yeah. And she goes, yeah. I'm like, okay, so guys, like one thing I've always said, I don't know. Like I thank God for the blind spot in my life. Some want to say the little naivete that floats around, because I am always one of those people that think, oh, someone could be having a bad day. So I'm not gonna just be like, okay, at first I was just like, oh, she sounds like she had an attitude, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, she might be having a bad day. People have bad days. So, he gets on the call, so I'm thinking we about to just do business. I'm used to, before these two, the people that I dealt with, I was on a professional note, right? Just all business, just boom, 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 whatever it was, and handled stuff. So this is, like I said, weird enough, we're having this conference, it had to be done for some reason or the other. He gets on there, so I'm sitting back listening. In my whole entire life, this lady ripped into me. Tell me how you really feel. So I was thrown back because, when you're so used to professional settings and you're like, oh my gosh, in my mind I'm like screaming, oh my gosh, the HR manager is yelling. Like she just lost it. Like we're not even business or professional anymore. Like this, she is taking this personal. What happened, baby girl? And so, but in my mind I'm just like, nope, I'm not going to go there. Nope, not today. Not today. It was a clinical company because I hate leaving cliffhangers. And to cut a long story short, I've been in leadership for about 14 and a half years. There was an issue that happened. Now, there was a man who is the co-CEO's brother who had been on there for 17 years. Okay, I'm not going to tell you how some people feel about the corporate world and stuff like that and family hookups, but it's okay because if I had a company, I'd probably want to hook my family members up too. But I say that to bring it to tell you the backstory that I had most of those years it had been with the individuals at the executive level that were in that qualifying position. That's why our rapport and nothing had ever come about. Awkwardly. But this man, when he joined the force and as a leader of the people, my thing is don't put me in a compromising position. That's just me. I'm sorry, I'm not that guy. That's why I was like, I probably won't be a good politician because I'm not saying all politicians are corrupt, but I'm just saying I'm not that guy. I'm not. I'm a snitch. No, I'm just kidding. But don't put me in that position though. Don't put me in the position I'm talking about I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not Jesus's cousin, but definitely I just don't like to be put in compromising positions where my moral and ethics are tested. And so when this person moved into our region, he was on this he was moving about because then I had two wonderful girls, two wonderful employees. I was like, they need to get the promotions, fighting hard for them. Because I've always been that person in leadership where I like to recognize talent and I like to root for that talent. Because I know how it feels for some people who really are talented at what they do and they're not seen. And that's why I've always said, I'm jokingly telling you, which is jokingly but true, that in a business setting, it's always been business. Let's keep it business. Okay, my feelings, my personal feelings, they stay at home. That's how I've always handled business. Of course, you will bring feelings into it. Of course, when you got family, people have family crisis and stuff like that. Of course, you want to have compassion. You get the point. You get the point. But anyways, so I was rooting for these girls. Okay, so he was the person that I would be accountable to. And the executive I'll be accountable to. Hey, bro. No, just kidding. Didn't call him like that. But I'll be like, corresponding with him. He's egging it on. And yeah, just let me know. I'm training these girls. I'm just happy for them. They're young. They're not single. Their mothers, not single, but their mothers with children, young, and I'm just so proud of them, happy for them. And last email correspondence is let me know on the day that we were planning on making the promotion official. And mind you, I've been communicating. I always believed in that communication, that vertical communication. Communicate, vertical. The next uppers. I've never came into anything like I run this place. No, it's never been my stilo. So listen, the day comes. We've put in all this work, right? The ladies are excited. So I'm like, hit up. We're ready. So he sends me an email correspondence and says, I kid you not, in an email, he says in an email, shh. What? Shh. In a business email? Shh. He goes, shh. Don't say anything to them. Let them continue in their roles. Because at that time we are having them do the acting, like the interim position. But we had a date to where we would officially put them in the position so they could make the money for that position. And he goes, shh, don't tell them, but we won't be able to pay them for those positions. So we'll leave them in that position. I'm not kidding you. I'm like, bro. Just kidding. Didn't call him bro. But in my mind, the voice in my mind was like, bro. Like, how am I going to see what I'm saying? Don't put me in compromising positions like that. I don't like that. I don't. Because I'm like, they're looking at me. Like, I'm not going to sit here and lie for you. Like, and then, first of all, when they see their paycheck, do you not think they're going to be like, wait a minute. We were supposed to start on this date with our official positions, but you know what I'm saying? We don't see a pay. See, I cannot subscribe or co-sign for like unethical stuff like that. I'm not perfect, but it's not me. It's not me. No, we're not. Nope. Don't call me to go rob a bank. We're not going to do it. I'm not the one. I'm just saying, I'll probably be the one to call the authorities, the police, and be like, hello. No, I'm just kidding. But just leave me out of the mess. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go over there and do what you want to do, don't do it in front of me and leave me out of it. But I'm like, okay, I didn't like it. I believe in communication and being honest. So I told them, I was like, look, they are not going to pay you for this position. They're supposed to. I showed them the email correspondence. And not the not the that one was for archiving, okay? Print that off and put it in my documents folder. But I let them know that, look, the correspondence was very, what do you call it? I mean, like, there's nothing to hide. It was very transparent. Because I wanted them to see that we were, well, I know I was, trying to fight for them to go. Everything was on board, but I said, look, they're not going to pay you for you all to be in these positions. And if you want to continue as interim, you can, but you're not going to get paid for it. And if you don't, I understand as well. Because in my mind, I'm like, I mean, come on now. Why do they do that? So that I had an issue about. So that's just, I'm giving you a little backstory about this person. So all of a sudden, there was company policy changes. And you guys are hearing a whole lot more. But there was a lot of changes that came about. And before those changes came about, because this person, I'm already seeing, I'm like, this man, I know you're the co-CEO's brother and everything like that, but that's not how it's done. Like, and I'm not one to argue with people and, oh, this is not how we do it and all this other stuff, but still don't put me in a compromising position. So I'm telling you all that to say that's just a sliver of an example. There were so many things that happened immorally that I wanted to hear from the HR. But it was also an awkward conversation because this is the co-CEO's brother. So they're employees. The VP and the manager of HR, they're employees. This is this man's brother's organization. So they're probably like, we hear what you're saying. They're probably, I'm not saying that's what they say to me, but they knew how foul this guy was. But I needed to talk things through with HR, and it's not only to do with this incident. Because then what wound up happening, guys, when you take a stand for yourself, to stand for your morals, to stand for your values, and for me, I'm not that person. Like, I'm not go ahead with the flow. I'm not. I'm sorry, and so I took a stand wanting to get more information from the HR department. And there was retaliation done against me, which then led to the conference, which is okay, because then when we get into this dream, I'm giving you backstory so we could probably have clarity on what was going on. So with the retaliation, then the man wanted to get rid of me, guys. 14 and a half years, nothing on my record. Nothing. Not a bad word. I was the go-to person. Like, not even one. I could tell you right now, let's say, oh yeah, well, 5 years in or 10 years in, I had a disciplinary action. I talked to so-and-so. No, nothing. The travel lady knew me. The coordinator knew me by first and last name, because she stayed booking me. Everywhere they needed me, when they needed me, I made myself readily available. I'm not griping. I'm not bitter. It was an amazing experience. I will never, ever take away from that experience. Giving you backstory. So when the retaliation happened, and then I wanted to find out from HR, because that was the thing. It's like, how does an individual, speaking for myself, has been an individual all throughout who has done the disciplinary actions within this organization. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The first one is verbal. You talk to people. Hey, pull them to the side. You document it. Second one, talk to them. Hey, you already got one. It was a verbal. Now I'm documenting for real. They sign, you sign. You talk about it, que sera. Third one, look, behavior has to change. What can we do? How can we do it? They sign, you sign, boom. Fourth one, you just messing up. You got to go. Been the company policy since I started, 14 and a half years in. I can't say that was the best part of it. That was the worst part. You live and you learn, right? So here goes the retaliation. This man calls me up, calls me up, because I'm questioning things that are not supposed to be done. They're not ethical and they're not moral within the foundation itself, if that makes sense. And I'm not willing to be a part of it. I'm not. But calls me up and tells me, oh, make sure you check your email. You have a disciplinary action in there. What? I'm baffled, bewildered, befuddled, flabbergasted, surprised, among a myriad of other things. I dashed home and I opened my email because I was actually traveling at that time. And when I opened my email, it was right up in the third. Because remember I explained to you about the disciplinary actions? I don't have anything on file at all. I've done this before, right? Because each and every step, You have to verbally talk with the person and they have to sign. And then it's a documentation process. And there's no way you can go from not having anything to the third. This just not the way it happened. You have to go, like I've already explained to you, gradually 1, 2, 3, 4, and how you do it. But he strategically gave me a write up in the third. One in my whole entire life. And so I'm only laughing because when you look back on it now, it's just crazy. Crazy, crazy. Um, so, so I'm questioning. I sent him an email because that's the first person I'm going to ask. Correction, I see this is a write up in the third. Is this a mistake? First of all, I have done nothing wrong. Um, and, um, and, even if I had done something wrong, you guys, I would say, you know what, I deserve that. But let's say even if I did something wrong, then I should get the write up in the first. That's how you do it. Verbally talk to the person at first. Hey, look, okay? You got to clean up your act. We don't want to have this conversation. That's just how we've done it. But never seen it just straight to number 3. Number 3 is a strategy to where if you sneeze. Oh, you sneeze. You're out of here. That's what he was trying to set me up for. Maybe I'm assuming when digging too deep into it, but they tell me it's like, why would you skip 1, 2, 1 and 2? And I'm only asking because I hadn't even done anything. I just know it was retaliation. Whatever. It's not, you know what I mean? Backstory. I just knew it was retaliation. All these years, not one thing on file, nothing. And then boom, 3. Okay. If I had a chance to do it again, I would. I would still stand up with what is morally and ethically sound. Um, and so what happened was, and I never did, like what I keep saying, disclaimer, because I never did anything out of my own will, or because I'm big boss kahuna. I'm a no. It's always been a vertical correspondence in everything that I've done. So anyways, he didn't answer why I got 1 in the third. No, like it's the reason he put on there was just so weird. It was like because there was these other people out there in the field and what they had done, which we don't do. Nothing. It was not making sense. But so these texts were, if they had done anything clinically wrong, then the write-ups go to them, and I would have been issuing them. But his case in point was they did something wrong, then I'm getting written up for it. Now, let me tell you something. If that's part of the protocol and all this other stuff, then that would make sense. But it was not. It was not. It's like, look, it's like you at your job. You mess up, and then you mess up on your responsibility. What you are there for, because this is a clinical setting. So they're clinically there for a specific position. And not in the books or anything like that, which would have been, whatever the mess up they did, it would have been for me to address. Whether it was just a conversation like, look, that was wrong. It would, that, attention being brought to it. But then your boss gets the write up, and it's not even say, oh yeah, because that's my boss. No, you are responsible for that, and the disciplinary action comes to you. That's the way it goes. But he just made up a whole rule, and so everything wasn't adding up. And so, and also, here's the thing, and probably 2 to 3 weeks before, there was a clinician who had falsified records. Once again, don't put me in those positions. Don't put me in those compromising positions. She had falsified records, like I said. I do not just do anything like, oh my gosh, you falsified records, you're out of here. I never had I done that 14 and a half. Everything, everywhere you go, it has the process and the procedure. For the most part, right? Everywhere you go. So I did a correspondence to this person, to this executive. Hey, so-and-so falsified patient information. You guys, if us look, let's keep this on a positive note because I do not want to scare anyone away from the medical facilities. But anyway, so now because this person had falsified these records, it's just, I mean, it's sad, you all. Like, my heart broke only because as a clinician for so many years, it's like that could be my mom, that could be my dad, that could be my brother, that could be my sister. But anyways, I digress. So this girl falsifies the records, gets caught up in it. Company procedure once again. It was brought to my attention. In order for anything to happen, you have to see it. When you steal from Walmart or when you steal from Dillard's or a store, they don't apprehend you in the store. You got to walk outside and it's a case. And for me, that was a liability. So I had to watch and observe. And once it was brought to my attention and I seen it with my own eyes. And that's when I called the executive, let him know. I mean, this is among so many situations. I'm just plucking out here the final little steps. I told him, and he was like, she's got to go. It's the only best thing he ever said. He was like, she's got to go. You know, we cannot falsify information. Da, da. So it's him. Then you call the clinical department, like, look, here we have an individual here that falsified information. So and so say that she has to go. What do you think? They say she has to go. Okay, thank you for your input. Thank you for sharing. So I drafted up, let the girl know, look, this is unacceptable behavior. It's in the handbook. I was a handbook person. It was in the handbook. You cannot do that. And let me tell you something. When you're in a leadership role, it all comes back to you. No matter most times what you do, right? So the decision was that it was brought to my attention by someone else. And this is how sad these environments could be. Sometimes some workplaces could be a little bit toxic. I knew that this girl didn't like this girl. I knew that. I used to always say, one day I'm going to do a boss podcast to let people know what bosses think about employees. Well, leadership thinks about employees. But anyway, so because it's like everyone, you're a sounding board. You don't go asking for information. It just comes to you willingly. But I knew that. But the fact was I still had to investigate because that's my job. Otherwise, I'm now biased if I don't. And for the love of me, I don't know why she did what she did because I'm like, your actions cause the consequences. This girl doesn't like you already. So she's watching your every move. Now she's brought it to me. If I ignore it, not that I do not want to do my job, but if I ignore it, then she's going to run. Going to go to corporate. She falsified information. I brought it up to her. She didn't do anything about it. Then it just all unravels. Not that it was pressure, but it was just annoying. Only because then it's sometimes annoying and disappointing because then it's like sometimes people put themselves in these situations when then they look up and be like, why? I'm like, man, come on. So here I am playing the politics of work. I have to do my job. Okay? And whether or not the girl brought it to my attention, right? Not just I had to do my job, but the fact is, if these individuals left that place and something happened, lawsuit-wise, guess who would be the first person to go? Me. Guess who they would come down on? Me. Because this was a big liability issue. Not just liability, but just you're working with patients. Who does that? Cooking the books. You guys, I could write a whole book about the medical industry. But then it might turn some people off, and I don't want to do that. Because not everyone is a bad person. There are people with golden hearts that do deserve to be in these in the healthcare industry, that are in the healthcare industry. Anyway, so now let's go to the dream real quick. Wow. That was a long backstory. So now let's wrap it all up. We've circled back. So now I had asked If HR could meet up with me somehow on conference or so to explain how this goes, because I knew how it went, but I just wanted to hear. That's why I said I prepped myself to say, listen to him, because I'm like, I know how it goes, but I just wanted to know. I wanted to hear from them what they thought about this right up in the third. It was nowhere to go, but I just wanted to hear what they had to say. Because you're talking about the co-CEO's brother, okay, that has no experience to be in that upper executive position, that's abusing power and abusing power and demolishing his brother's business. But that's not for me to say. It's neither here. It's neither here nor there. But anyway, so I just wanted to hear from the professionals in the HR department, so I thought. So when we gathered around that conference, right now, let's go back to that morning off. Have this dream about snakes, whoop-de woo, and the next day. So I'm just like, be professional no matter what, don't, last thing, like, pep talk. I've done so many conferences, not like this, but where you give yourself a pep talk, everything's professional, just respond professionally, smile on your face, warm smile. And so, when, like I say, she started off with an attitude, man, maybe she's having a bad day. The VP comes on, so now I'm sitting there listening. He comes on. He's the big kahuna. He comes on and he's like, because now I'm like eager because I want to hear what they're going to say, because you cannot toss him underneath the bus. They know what he did was foul. So they're going to say he shouldn't have done that, because then they fear I've been in this elements. I know about damage control, liabilities, lawsuits, and so forth. So because they know that if we admit to any wrongdoing by this individual, then we might face her getting angry and getting a lawsuit on us and all this other stuff. But here's the thing. What was weird what was weird about that was I just wanted to hear what they wanted to say. And it was weird because I said, I would respect them if they just sat there and be like, you know what, we hear your concern and we're gonna look into this. And they disappeared forever and never came back. I would have been fine with that. But then, listen, so the next day after the night of dreaming about these big old snakes that I'm fearful of, probably something that could give me anxiety if I saw a real snake in real life. Big black snakes, what does black represent? Black is a negative color, typically associated with negative. So the where I'm traveling on top of these big anaconda looking snakes are black, and the atmosphere, the area it's nighttime, it's dark. So we're talking about black again, right? So let's start decoding this dream. So once again, black, we could write down black because you want to dissect with everything you're seeing in the moment. So black is one of the colors there. Fear, anxiety could be related to that. Sometimes it can relate black to nothingness, right? The emotion and thing that I'm feeling in that moment will probably be fear, because I don't like snakes. Probably I wasn't fearful going into the conference because I didn't know what we're going to be talking about. Honestly, I just really was on this mind that we're all professionals. So even though black represents anxiety at the time, I wasn't feeling anxious or anything like that. And so when the VP started talking, that's when the train went left. Exit stage left. And he was like, you guys, do you know that? So, he started talking. And what I'd come to address was to understand the protocols, which I understood. But let me hear it from the big kahuna's HR department. What's going on? Why is this third write up? And if so, how is this permissible when there is no other records of first, second, and third? And just wanting to know. And you know what it is? It's weird. I wasn't looking to accost anyone. I wasn't no attitude, no like, why? It was none of that. I just literally just genuinely wanted to know. But like I said, in my mind, I knew that they were also in a bind. It's a tough situation. We admit to guilt. It's a lawsuit liability, maybe. We act like we don't know anything. It's the best way to go, which is not fair for me, because then you are neglecting the facts that there was foul play here. That needs to be addressed accordingly. I know we don't live in a perfect society, and I was not looking. Actually, I knew for a fact that they're not going to sit there and be like, oh my gosh, what did we do? Definitely would take that away from you. Or, we better take this away from you. You don't deserve it. I was not looking for that. I understand what comes with all of that. What comes with all of that. And what comes with all of that, the damage control and liability lawsuits. That's how big American corporations are looking at stuff. Anyways, so all right, so the black snakes, they're big. I don't like snakes. Snakes could represent deceit, evil, destruction, deception. I'm driving on top of these cars. The car is moving on top of this deceit, deception, this darkness, this snakes. I was wearing this illuminating coat, like it looked like a lab coat almost, and so it was like a white coat that was really bright. So white as a color can also represent light, enlightenment, hope. And then remember, we went to a room. The room can represent space. A room, depending on what the room looks like. It was well lit. It did feel like a safe space, and where there's space, you usually could branch out, grow out. The man and the women, the energy that came from them was really warm and also like a safe energy. Now, with my belief in the Creator and the Spirit Man, could have this symbolized the Creator himself or the Spirit woman herself comforting me in this room, right? So now we're looking at all of those measures. I mean, this is how you decode dreams. I've written down now what the dream is. Now you know the backstory. So let's go. So in that conversation, after so I'm just wanting, that's the tone of voice, take it down a notch. Don't even have to, I just wanted to understand a little bit more about the third write up. That was me. And that was me. And then he's like, so let's talk about like that. Let's talk about, let's say her name was Susie. Let's talk about Susie Sue. Okay. Susie Sue is the lady who falsified information, 2-3 weeks ago? Who was terminated at the also suggestion of the executive and the clinical department. So you see how they tried to like sideswipe me with that? And so I'm like, and so now the lady talk about just, she was yelling. He's well, let's talk about her. And you guys, this is how you know that things are really going crazy. Honestly, this is the craziest moment I've ever experienced in my whole entire life of existence, right? When something just, I'd never experienced anything like that, where something just turns left for like the worst. Like, I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, I didn't get the memo. Like, and I know it had nothing to do with Susie Sue because she was not the first person to get terminated from my documentation. Like, there had been so many people along the way that had been terminated. This wasn't the first termination that was executed. And it wasn't a termination that I did by myself. Like I said, I bounced it over here and I bounced it over here. And it was, so that's on, that was documented. Everything always documented. That was documented. So in my mind, I was like, why are they making it about her? And so now they left you guys. The energy was off. They left me now rebutting. I felt like I was in a court case and I'm doing a rebuttal. Rebutting, how you like that word? I'm doing a rebuttal of something that's on documentation that they know that it had this gone through. The company could have been sued about this. Like, what do you mean? Like, what are you guys talking about? Do you know what? It was crazy. And now I realized at that time I was like, oh my gosh, they're trying not to talk about what it is that we're supposed to be talking about. So I was trying to bring it back, but they were just going off. And then he goes, let me tell you something, you guys, this was the craziest. I'm telling you, I wish I could tell you that I've had, like, you have crazy conversations, but this, like, I heard people always talk in life about they lied on me or they were lying about me or all this. But it was like, what are you guys talking about? The VP of HR goes, yeah, You can't keep anybody, right? And this is in April, January, February, March, April, May. So this is like in towards like the first week of June. You can't keep anybody. Everyone keeps leaving. This from January to May to the end of May. He goes, "You've lost 9 people." Excuse me, guys. I hadn't lost 9 people. It was literally 2. One, the nurse practitioner had to move to Chicago. That was like a personal thing. I had like nothing to do with it. Wasn't like she's like, "I'm out of here because I don't like you." She literally had to uproot and relocate to Chicago because her husband or something like that. They do that. They knew that. They were playing me. I was being, what do you guess? They were gaslighting me on a whole freaking corporate level. And then the other girl, she had to like go to back to school or something like that. So I mean, it was impossible. So it wasn't like the way he made it seem was like, because of you. Like, I have never experienced accusations that have never happened, that I've never done in my life. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, they will go to the back to protect this guy. Like, I know he's like the CEO's, the co-CEO's brother. And the co-CEO is the brother. This CEO is technically the person that created this company, right? I know that's his brother. But I'm like, oh my God, at that time, now things are just clicking, clicking, clicking. And so I just ended up like dismissing the call and made a life-changing decision from that moment, because I shall not jeopardize my moral and my ethical values. I'm not perfect. I'm not Jesus's cousin. But things that put me in spaces and places that are uncomfortable like that. All right, so what's that got to do with a dream, right? I so overlooked this. So here we go. We broke down the dream, right? We've done everything to what the snakes mean, black color, the car driving on top of these big snakes. What does the car even mean? Sometimes the car, a vehicle, can mean the literal vehicle that's moving you along this journey from one place to the other. Depending on the state that you are having that dream, it has different interpretations as well. So we talked about the room, the white illuminating lab coat, the man and the woman. I'd never seen a day in my life in that room. Hey, okay, and so I had a thought. All right, so let's say in a nutshell, what can we say now that we look in hindsight after all that mess happened? I literally left off the phone just like so discombobulated. I was like, what in the world just happened? Like, Am I dreaming? All right, I was literally in a real nightmare. So let's say now that we know what we know, because the dream happened the next morning, I went into this weird, crazy, deceptive, dark conference, and so also having that realization and decoding the colors and everything, can we say that I was moving towards evil or on evil, because the car's traveling on these black snakes. Snakes, we said that our snakes are analogous to deceit, destruction, deception. For me, I fear them. It can represent evil and deceit in my culture and in the way I feel about snakes. Car is a vehicle that's moving you. The path, I was moving on an evil path, right? A deceitful path, we could say. However, the illuminating white coat that I had, that top, however, the light on me, okay, we could even say in me, and the light, because light is coming from the white coat that illuminated. White is light, a light, enlightenment, hope, faith. Okay, so however, the light on me, we could say the light on me, we could say, when you look at it, you can say the light on me guided me, and then I was projected, the light on me was guiding me on that path, in that car, on top of that evil, deceitful path, right? Next thing is we're in a room. It was a safe space. And this is the time and place. At the time I didn't know it, but because of the things that I let go in that moment, like I say, the room it felt like a safe space. But the two strangers that were still warm in personality, not personality, just but the energy itself was like really safe. I felt safe. And the room is typically, depending on the type of room, like I said, space to grow. I've had lots of time to grow in the endeavors, but I totally slept on that one. So I just wanted to give you an example of something that can manifest trying to warn you in the time off. But guess who missed that warning? Guess who came to the conference not ready for the big snakes? Guys, I love you guys so much. You know what? Life is a spiritual journey. No matter what you go through in life, don't let other people define your life, right? Don't let other people define your journey. We have to prevail above. It definitely was a doozy, like, what in the world is going on? But I left that moment still today knowing that I'm still on a spiritual journey, right? I learned a lot. When you sacrifice something, such as whatever, if you believe in something, if it is your morals, your ethics, not trying to bend for that, not trying to bend forward, or whatever it is that you believe in, when you stand steadfast in it, it becomes a journey of one, but life is typically a journey of one, right? It's shared and enjoyed with others, if you got family and so forth, but your personal experiences on this spiritual journey are yours. I'm still happy at the decision that I made. I thank God above for the guidance. Even though I totally slept on that the next morning, I should have really been in tune, but that was another lesson to learn in life. I say that from what I learned, I didn't harbor bitterness or anger or hate or resentment. Like I said, because sometimes you don't know. Here's the thing. I'm responsible for me. They're responsible for themselves. Karma goes around. And I believe that whatever you put out into the universe will come back to you. And so you always have to be careful on how you show up in this life that you're living, in this waking life. And I refused, because I refused to show up like I could have let that moment define me. I could have I could have been obnoxious. I could have been angry. I could have yelled at those people with the awful things they say. Man, they painted me to be everything but a child of God. But the thing is, I knew what I rested in. And I knew that, you know what, you're not going to take my life away like this. You're not going to have me out here just all moped over and no, it didn't work like that. I'm not superhuman. You take every step one at a time. If you trust in the universe and surrender to the universe, trust into the universe. And I believe that your path will be made clearer for those that are still searching. And for those that know, then continue to lean in, let go, and let it flow. I love you guys that much. We're almost at an hour here. Thank you so much for listening. Let's stay in touch. That is Ask Memory 2019 at gmail.com. I do want to hear from you all. How is the decoding coming along? What are you loving about it so far? What has manifested in your life so far? Please, I'd love to hear from you. So that is Ask Memory 2019 at gmail.com. Love you guys so much. You know what? We should go out. We need to raise our vibrations. So before the last little part of the video, I'm going to play you guys a track to raise our vibrations. Okay? Get those frequencies up before we go to bed. I mean, this story was just kind of sad. But guys, don't feel sorry for me. Let's celebrate in each and every story. for this experience to be learned. So let's raise our frequencies, all right? Get the frequencies, get the vibration up. All right. This is Beside Me by Patricos. Let's get them vibrations going. Them frequencies raised. Yes. Love you guys. Alrighty.
For God speaks in one way and or in two, though man does not perceive it. He speaks in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falls on men while they slumber on their beds. Happy dreaming.